Think back to when you were little. Where were the places you wanted to go? The things you wanted to explore? The forts you built or the places you'd climb? What made them so alluring? Realize it or not, that was just as much a part of your learning as any time you spent in the classroom. Your time exploring the world around you helped you make connections, gave you context for learning, and gave you a sense of place. These are foundational in the learning process. Developing the highest quality holistic programs starts by harnessing those feelings and experiences. Hello, my name is Christie McKelvie. I'm the founder and director of Rooted in Free Nature School, and it is a pleasure to be here with you today as we explore learning naturally, an outdoor, nature-based approach to early childhood education. It is our mission at Rooted in Free Nature School for everybody in our programming to be rooted in nature, free to learn. As you see, our mission is to empower children through place-based, experiential, and developmentally appropriate learning opportunities that grow a child's mind, body, and spirit, while also fostering a lifelong love, respect, and understanding of nature. Rooted in Free Nature School was founded in 2019, and you can learn more about it. At the end, I'll have my contact information for you. Feel free to explore our website. That's where you can find more about our philosophy. You can follow us on social media and see some of what we're up to. And I'd love to answer any questions you might have about our school and anything that I can help you with. But we're going to just dive right now into thinking about, I want you to go ahead and pause the video and turn and talk if you're doing this with another coworker or colleague, or just if there's anybody else in the room with you. If you're by yourself, still pause and maybe just take some time to think about this. What is the difference between learning in nature, learning about nature, and learning with nature? Let's go ahead and pause, take some time to think. Okay, so they sound very similar, but there are some pretty big differences. When you are learning in nature, that just means it is physically occurring outdoors. It does not depend on nature for the learning to occur, and it is mostly teacher-led. So some examples would be you take that sensory table outside, or you read a story about any content topic outside. Maybe you're doing an art project that does not need to have anything to do with nature, but you are physically taking your learning outside. Then we have learning about nature. This can take place indoors or outdoors, but the content is focused on nature and it is mostly teacher-led. So it could be an example like the life cycle of a frog that could take place in a classroom. It could be in a courtyard or it could be at a pond. It could take place anywhere, but you are learning about nature. Same with bird unit or seasons. And then we have learning with nature. This physically occurs outdoors, and this takes place outside of the teacher's plans. This is mostly child-led because it's going to emerge out of experiences and discoveries that they make. And this builds over time. So the more that you're able to be outside, this is where you're letting nature be the lead teacher and children lead their own learning experiences. So an example might be that they came upon some scat. And if you don't know what scat is animal poop. So they might have come across some animal poop and it starts to get them asking good questions as they look at the scat. And you can pull out some field study books, same with if they find a dead bird, or it can be anything, tracks, any discovery that they're making outside in nature. So then here's just showing the three of these, and you'll see we have Samara Early Learning is where I pulled these from. It's a great resource that I'm going to share with you later if you are interested in taking this to the next level. So there are a couple assumptions that you need to have and understand when it comes to learning with nature. So it is that nature will provide more than we can plan for. We need to let the children be heard, let them take lead. They are capable, and risky play is an important part of learning. So you'll see on this picture here, these are all students from our programming at Rooted and Free. We have somebody walking her way across a nature seesaw, and it was a little damp that day, so she was taking that risk and going at her own pace to get herself going across. And then as the seesaw dropped down to the other side, she really took her time crossing it. You will see we have wooden mallets and golf tees, and you will see our final student here is whittling, and we use vegetable peelers for the kids to get to whittle sticks. And within all of this, risky play is occurring, and we encourage the kids to take these healthy risks. Now, I want you to know we're not just handing kids vegetable peelers and saying, go to town. So before we handed this over, we had three safety. Number one was they needed to have a safety circle that there was nobody close to them. Number two, one end of their stick needed to be anchored to the ground. And number three, you always whittle away from your body. And part of the safety circle was that they had to be kneeling, their legs had to be behind them. So we don't just give them these tools and say, do whatever you want. We give them some parameters to work under. There are so many benefits of nature play. So, your mental and emotional well being, as you see on there, increasing your energy levels, elevating your mood. It releases the feel good endorphins and so many more things there. Cognitive development. It is increasing your focus and attention, building confidence, resilience, critical thinking skills. There's improved enthusiasm for learning, builds a sense of initiative, creativity, imagination, social. It is increasing levels of kindness and empathy, collaboration, friendships, community spirit and pride. And then you'll see here increases appreciation and respect for the environment. And then physical development and health. There's your immune system is strengthened, lowered blood pressure. There's just so many things on here. Muscle development, healthy risk taking, your energy levels, vitamin D levels. So, as you see, nature play isn't just common sense, now it's common science. And there, research article after research article that is showing this. And so I have these linked for you in the description and also in your resources that you should receive from my presentation. But as you see, these are just two examples. The one on the left here, the great outdoors, exploring the mental health benefits of natural environments. And it just goes into so many just great benefits that you'll see. And then the nature-based play and learning literature review that peer associates did. I just really love how they took lots and lots of research and they synthesized it into this paper that just puts these key points. So please take the time to read that. And I would love to see you incorporate more of this into your learning. All right, so we're coming to the basics principles, and I know this is something that many of you are familiar with. This is a key piece of what many of you already know. And so we're going to go through how the basics principles can be applied to nature-based and outdoor learning. So the first one, maximize love, manage stress. So you will see within Rooted and Free, we use routines to help. So we feel like managing stress and maximizing love, that having these routines that the kids can count on. We do a lot with breath work. We teach them different ways to take deep breaths, one hand on your chest, one hand on your belly. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And we have different things we do using our hand to kind of count our breaths in and out, using going up and down our fingers. So breath work is a really important part, helping the kids just take those deep breaths. And not just when they're stressed or upset, but throughout the day. Keywords, we're going to talk about that in a little bit, what our 3 keywords are. We do have class jobs and responsibilities, and we have intentional greetings and farewells. So you'll see here some of our predictable routines. When the kids come in the morning, they see this board, and it has images and words of what our day is going to hold, and it switches every day, based on whatever our day is going to look like. And you'll also see that red paper there that says number 3. That is their third station. So in the morning they come, they drop their backpacks off at the one table, they head on over, they move their attendants. They have little owls with their name on that they move over to indicate that they are present that day, that they are here. And then they come to number 3. And if you can see on it, it says that they have a few things to do. And there's a teacher there that guides them through this. So number 1, they're going to check in with themselves. So do you need any change of clothes? We are outside. So they've got to think about, do they have enough layers on? Do you need to adjust your layers? Do you need to go to the bathroom? Do you want to play outside the pavilion or choose an activity at a table inside the pavilion? We always have both options. So there's big gross motor play that they can do as we wait for to start our morning circle as people arrive. And there's also always stories and some sort of fine motor activity they can choose as well. And then before they go, they take a deep breath and they go and play. You'll also see we have different jobs that give that responsibility, that make them feel needed and as a part of the group, which they are. And we have 3 words at Rooted and Free that we feel like encompass everything that we want for our kids. So we use these as mantras. So the kids say, I am safe, I am kind, I am capable. And within those 3, we feel like it covers everything that we want. I am safe, I am kind, I am capable. And capable is the one that the kids use so much and their parents love it. They come and they say, I went to help my child zip up their coat and they said, Mommy, I am capable. And that is something we work on them gaining some independence and that they are capable. There are endless opportunities for cooperation within our time at Rooted and Free. And you'll see that here.
That's snowy owl. It's so hard to find. Snowy owl. We found him.
Just listen to that cooperation. Then we come to the second one, talk, sing, and point. So we do have songs during our morning circle. We do themed songs. So if we are learning about insects, we'll sing head, thorax, abdomen, or other different songs like that. We recently, month of February, we had a lot on friendship. And so we sang friendship songs. We did some sign language to go along with those songs. And we always close with a farewell song as well. Our conversations are ongoing at Rooted and Free. We are constantly, the kids are talking amongst themselves, talking with the teachers. It is just an ongoing. And one thing that's really important to us is use the big words with the children. So we do a whole unit in the fall as we're getting close to winter on on hibernation, migration, and adaptation. And so make sure you're using those big words with the kids. Don't just say, oh, they're going to sleep all winter. Oh, they're going to travel somewhere warmer. Use those big words. Same with camouflage. Kids love that word. So not just blending in or hiding, but use camouflage. And then there's a lot of decomposition going on at camp. So we use the word decompose a lot. And you will see in these next videos where you will see us as we were on our migration journey. And you'll get to see some big movements going on. And you'll also see some really great questions on the video following that as we are, throughout this year, we've been able to follow a deer that we stumbled upon that had died, and we kept our distance as it was early rotting. And you'll see the second video is after a couple months. And so that deer has been there and it has been cold and it is not stinky anymore. And the kids ask great questions. So nature provides a fabulous teacher. And there's so much to learn, so much comparing going on, so much talking. They ask fantastic questions. So enjoy these videos.
Honk, honk. You getting honk, honk. We did it! Honk, 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 honk. Are we ready to continue our journey? It's different hopping with the
it.
That's a big one. Good job. Woo-hoo-hoo. Oh. It's okay if you can't reach it, Meredith. Just give it a try.
I see the bones. The bones.
So it does still have bones. Does it have fur still?
Yes.
Yes, it does have bones and fur. Do you see any blood?
No.
No, it looks
Where's the
kind of
eye?
dry, doesn't it?
Look, I think. Wait, I see the leg and another leg.
Yeah, look, let's count the legs. 1, 2, 3, 4. It still has 4 legs. Does it still have its
Where's
hoofs?
the front? Yes.
Here's 1 hoof, 2 hoofs, 3 hoofs. Here's its head. You see its jaw.
Yeah. Well, what's this?
And what does it still have in its mouth?
Teeth.
It still has its teeth.
There's something over here look like sting. I don't want to use it.
This is its hip joint. So that's where its legs attach to its body. Oh, that's an interesting question. Did you hear what Beatrix just asked? What were you looking for, Beatrix?
Tail.
Its tail. I don't see.
The third one, count, group, and compare. Again, endless opportunities to count and sort items in nature. You can do it by color, shape, size. I'm sure you can picture in the fall with all the leaves, the acorns, the pine cones, even stones that you find out in nature, sticks that you find. So there's constant counting, sorting of these objects. We do notice a lot of patterns. Nature is all about patterns and cause and effect, and they are in their place learning each of these things and then compare. So we did see the decomposing deer example already. Pumpkin Jack, we will see that example here coming soon about comparing. And then, of course, seasons is just a very natural, you are out in it, so you are noticing all of those changes in the season. In the seasons. And this can take place in the classroom. You can be looking out the window and seeing it, or taking a quick little walk outside and visit the same location on your school grounds and compare throughout the year what that looks like. So here's an example of some count, group, and compare. We had their grouping stuff based on plants, animals, and both on the left and the right, those pictures there. So kind of their version of a Venn diagram. And then they also took some time to look at cards and to think about what animals hibernate. And so they were sorting the items into, do they hibernate, do they migrate, or do they adapt? So in this example here, they sorted animals they think might hibernate, and then they looked into it to see, is that what they do? Okay, this is the one where there is a lot of this that goes on at Rooted and Free. We explore through movement and play. So we give a lot of time. Our program runs for 3 hours, and typically anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half straight is free play. And we want that time for the kids to really be able to just tap into their own curiosities and their own creativities. This time is child-led. So this is not the time that we are leading an activity. You will see in this next stretch of videos, there are lots of times that we are still a part of the learning. And you always are as a teacher. You always are, even when you're letting the children lead and nature be the lead teacher. But you will see that just being outside, there's so much more room for their bodies to jump and run and use loud noises. And it's just fantastic. They're developing gross and fine motor skills through their movement and through their play, and their social and emotional skill development. I want you, as you watch these videos, to really just listen to the kids, listen to their cooperation. They don't always agree with each other, but they work it out, they figure it out, and they are learning with nature. Nature is their teacher in these times. So here's just a couple photos to show some of our kiddos. The mud kitchen on the right is a huge hit. The kids love to create all sorts of mud creations or just kitchen great things. It's the leaf kitchen, the mud kitchen, the snow kitchen. It just changes throughout the seasons, but it is a big hit. And then you'll see on the left just we have fallen trees and we get to watch them as they are decomposing and we get to climb them. And it's just, there's always so much fun.
You found you had to pound really hard on that one, right? And this axle here, let me give it a start for you.
Try to break the ice on stick. Try to break the ice. No, you're too heavy. No, I can have a snow ride. Ah!
Good catch, Lincoln.
That was so fun.
Here, I'll help get Ada back.
I'm gonna be on Izzy's team. Is that okay for you, Josie? Yeah, I'm on Izzy's team too. Okay? Who are we gonna fight? Two. Oh, got yeah. Can you turn the gloves right in my? I turn the gloves in my snowsuit. Go now! I think I'm digging some snow. Help! And I'm gonna go. And I go faster! I'm Pom-Pom is fuzzy and soft. Yay! Oh! Yay! Oh! Yay! Help them tie the scarf. We're the giants of the forest. We help them tie their scarves. We make the world. Oh dear. For them. Heads off. We're giants that make the world. Forest is done. No, it's not. Just more trees. Oh. More trees. I'll get you more trees. Okay. Here's the whole basket.
All right, so I hope you enjoyed those videos and just getting to see some of the ways that the children use movement and play in their learning. I want to quickly talk about one thing that is fascinating every year. I just love watching it. At the start of the year, we have a stream that is downhill from our nature play space that the kids go down to explore, but one of their favorite things is to collect water and bring it up to the mud kitchen or some other area that they are working to play. And as they fill up that wheelbarrow, you can see one that is en route up back to the play space and one that's down below, still the green one that is getting filled up as we speak. So the kids are learning about balance, they're learning about slope, they're learning about fluid dynamics. They wouldn't know it as that, and we don't necessarily call it that or talk about it in this way because we're letting them learn. Um, they're learning about shapes of containers. You can see the one child is carrying up water in a pot, the other one is pushing it in the wheelbarrow. There's problem solving, collaborative learning, and then goal results versus the journey. My favorite part is there are some kids that they will fill that wheelbarrow to the very tippity top and they will walk it up the hill. And as you can see, this child is about halfway up the hill. And you can see that there's very little water left because between the wheelbarrow tipping to the side, but also just with the slope. And as that water works its way down and out of the wheelbarrow, the kids get to the top and there is very little water in that wheelbarrow. And some kids, it takes one time and they learn, you know what, the bucket works better. I'm going to use a bucket or some other container next time. But there are other kids that it takes them a couple months into the year before they bail on the idea of the wheelbarrow. And it would be so easy as teachers to say, oh, hey, did you notice you hardly have any water? You probably should stop trying it that way. Instead, we just smile and say, hey, look at you go. We try to let them be the ones that are guiding their learning. So through it, they're learning so much. And eventually all the kids, by the end of the year, the wheelbarrow is no longer the way to get water up and down. It becomes then how to get rocks and leaves and sticks from one place to the other, but they stop trying to take it up and down the hill. So that's just one way that is an illustration of how they are leading their learning and we are taking a step back and not just immediately telling them, hey, this is what's going to happen. We want them to take that educational journey. Okay, and then we come to our last of the basics here, read and discuss stories. So this is a great one to start with to take your learning outside. Take your story time and your storyboard outside. So we think this could be the easiest first step. If you're having a hard time getting outside, this would be an opportunity to learn in nature. And then even better, take those stories that are inspired by real world exploration and experiences, take them outside. So now you're learning about nature in nature, and then allow children to manipulate the storyboards during free play. This gives an opportunity to retell, create their own stories and their own endings. It allows them to incorporate nature into their story. So now they are learning with nature. So just put that storyboard there as another option. And we found during our stick and stone stories, the kids would play with the storyboard and then they would run off and they would find their own stick and their own stone, and it would just encourage them to start creating their own versions of the story. So I'm going to show you a couple examples here. So take your story outside in all seasons, whenever possible. Taking your storyboards into nature. They can be about nature and then they can be with nature, as we talked about. So here's just a couple examples of storyboards that we use throughout the year. And then Pumpkin Jack. If you're not familiar with this story, go ahead and get yourself a copy. It is fantastic. So in the fall, we start off, we have a pumpkin, we talk about our pumpkin. So back in October, we have a whole pumpkin. Then as a class, we carve it together. Now, when you carve it, you got to keep some seeds in it, so don't fully scoop out the insides, but you'll see the progression of Pumpkin Jack. So in November, we put him in a jar with some soil. By December, he's already starting to grow a little white on him and starting to decompose. By January, look at it in January, all the way down here, barely anything. And then this is already February, so Pumpkin Jack has a whole bunch of babies. And so watching that from a story, it starts with a story and then it gets to become something that the kids get to observe and they get to be like the character in the story who got to observe this. This is our high school interns journal, but our children journal, we have our students journal Pumpkin Jack as Pumpkin Jack goes through the process. So another way that you can extend the learning by creating a journal. And then we did the same with another story. Here's our high school intern reading A Little Bit of Winter. Another great story on friendship, great story on seasons and change. And so after they read the story, they all tried to save a little bit of winter. And we laughed because the number one, the favorite, as you can see down here on the bottom right and on the top, the favorites to add were the salt and crushed peppers. And I think there was Italian seasoning there too. So we had a lot of that added. Do you think that they will successfully save winter? They started with ice cubes, and from the ice cubes, they had a control, so they got to look at this one. So each of them got to keep one of these, and then they had two that looked like that. They got to add all these different resources to try to save winter. Enjoy this next video, very quick clip, as we see if our student was able to save winter.
Water.
So they did not succeed at saving winter with their individual projects, but they worked together after they were done sledding and doing all sorts of fun times with their sleds. They chose to take some snowballs, put them on the sleds, and save winter that way. So by getting a bulk amount, and they succeeded. And as you will see in this video, they got to celebrate by decorating the little bit of winter that they were able to save.
Is everyone
Yep.
the same?
You can choose from over here. Isn't this fantastic? It's saved winter.
You did a super job saving winter.
I think it was really the umbrella that this group created.
Now I gotta use all these yellow pencils.
In addition to our preschool classes that we have at Rooted and Free, we do also offer some Explore Together, which is a caregiver and me style class. And this is for infants through preschool. So we have a lot of toddlers primarily that attend this class. So if you ever have questions about how to incorporate this into the younger children, feel free to reach out. We do have the advantage of, for our programming, our preschool only starts at ages 3.5. So the younger kids do come with a caregiver, which is really helpful because then the ratios are in our favor. We have a lot of adult help, but you can see just how much even these younger kiddos, there's so much learning going on through their play, through their exploration in nature. Then we also offer programming for 1st through 6th grade. We call it Forest Fridays. It is primarily an enrichment class for homeschoolers, but there are also some that attend traditional school, and for them they use educational trip days for those. So we do have kids in traditional schools, public and private, and then we also primarily work with homeschoolers during this time. And during that time, we have some teacher-led games and activities and definitely do some lessons and themes for the day. But then we give a lot of time. Here you can see they're doing some stream study. We collect macroinvertebrates and we talk about how we can tell the health of the stream based on that. But we also give them a lot of time for free play and exploration. And I think we sometimes forget as they get older, we're actually looking to expand to middle school and maybe even high school, but that free time is not just for young children. It needs to continue on. And so we give them plenty of time that they get to work in the mud kitchen as well. You can see the mud pie actually says mud on it. So just time to get creative, time for them to enjoy their childhood out in nature. And then on this video, just a quick video of a location in nature. This is learning with nature. We do not have any supplies that we put out there. This is just an area on camp that they get to freely explore. So enjoy this video.
Does it actually work to hold somebody? Look.
Yep, are you going to drag that over?
Watch this. Okay, Aiden's our first test. That's like something.
All right, so a real quick risk versus hazard. So sometimes it's easy to mix these up, but they are two very different things. So risk is present when a child is able to see an activity. They can assess the potential consequences and make their own choices about whether or not they want to participate in the activity. Whereas a hazard is present when there is an unsafe situation that the child can't see or assess. Therefore, they can't make an informed decision about whether or not they want to participate. So in our play, we ensure that children have the choice of whether or not they want to engage in risky play, but they will not be exposed to hazards. So we definitely differentiate these two. We are all about them taking healthy risks. Here's some examples of risky play: climbing trees, exploring in the stream, playing with sticks, carving sticks, running, sledding, playing on a steep hill, all of which take place at Rooted and Free, as well as climbing boulders, you'll see coming up here soon. There are benefits of risky play, huge benefits. Studies have shown that children who participate in risky play when they are young have better motor skills, social skills, conflict resolution skills, physical health, mental health, cognitive function, attention span, and risk assessment in their teens and young adulthood. So take the benefits of risky play and the benefits of nature play and time in nature, and you are just compounding all these benefits. It's amazing. So you'll see that we allow the kids to climb boulders. There is a rock outcropping on camp where we hold our nature school, and we let the children assess the risk and let them decide how high do they want to climb? What do they feel like is a healthy risk for them? So they all choose something different, and it is just super fun to watch. It is important as a teacher to learn some of these key phrases of what to say instead of be careful, because it is so easy as adults to say, be careful, oh, be careful, as they're approaching a risk or after they slip and fall. We often say be careful after the fall. So instead, you can help them foster awareness by saying things like, oh, do you notice how these rocks are slippery? Or do you try using your hands for that? Or do you feel stable on that rock? And then there's also helping them problem solve. My favorite, when I'm not sure what to say, I use the what's your plan? So when I see somebody doing something, maybe one of our students carrying a huge stick that they just found or a branch, I'll just say, hey, what's your plan with that? And then we have a rule with our preschoolers as we're traveling from place to place. If they want to carry a big stick, that is totally fine. But if it is longer than their arm, they need to have one side drag on the ground behind them or beside them. So, but different ways. So what can you use to get across? Or where will you put that rock? Or if they're holding a rock and they want to throw it, just notice, do you notice how there's children around you? Which direction would be the best plan for you to throw that? So instead of just saying be careful or saying no to things that you see, risks that they want to take, try to use some of these phrases. So when we are at Buzzards Rock, that's what we call this rock outcropping. You'll see on the right, we have our preschool students that have made it there. And you'll see on our left, we have one of our Forest Friday kiddos taking the risk of jumping across the opening. So they are building confidence, one jump, one scramble, and one climb at a time. And I just love how so many kids say things like, wow, I can't believe I was able to do that. And they just talk about this trip for so many times to come. All right, enjoy this video. This is actually my daughter. She's in 5th grade as she figured out how to climb the rocks in this way for the first time. And I can tell you, she talked about it for days and days to come and bragged about it to her 3 older brothers that she was the first of all 3 of them to ever try and successfully complete this climb. So the confidence that's building here as she took this healthy risk, she was scared, she was shaking, but she did it and she's so proud.
Hi. Slowly. Braxton, look at that. Look. No. I can jump over it. Elmer, you got this. Don't fall. Oh.
So I want to make sure that we acknowledge, I know not all of you have 340 acres of wooded land. Most likely none of you do. And that is okay. That is what we have at Rooted in Free Nature School. We have access to that much. Now, we do not use that much every day, of course, but I want to encourage you, nature is everywhere. It is not just in the woods. It is not just in a stream. It is everywhere. So adapt to what resources are available at your locations. Reach out to local nature centers, state parks. Oftentimes they're happy to come on in and bring some of their expertise to you. Or maybe you could take a field trip to them, depending on what your school grounds, if you don't feel like you have a great spot to go out. There are also some really awesome early childhood education programs and trainings. So look into Growing Up Wild, and I have all of these linked for you. Growing Up Wild, Getting Little Feet Wet, and Trees and Me, those are 3 programs that they give you. I don't want to say curriculum, but it really is. They give you a book to read, they give you an activity to do, they give you some extension items. They even often will tell you a snack that could tie into it. There's crafts that can go with it. So it's a way to just take so the learning about nature, these are all learning about nature. And if you do these lessons outside, you would be learning in nature and learning about nature. So great first step. And because it really just guides you through. These trainings are fantastic. So I highly recommend you look into one or more of those. And then this final one on here, Creating Early Childhood Environments for Nature-Based Learning. That is a free webinar that is put up by Rachel Larimore. And you just have to sign up to watch it. It's a recorded webinar. It is fantastic. And she has some other great books and resources that are just a great starting spot if you are looking to how you can incorporate a little bit more outdoor learning into what you already do with children. So here's just a quick collage. You can see just so many different ways that we are able to be outside, learning in nature, learning about nature, and learning with nature at Rooted and Free. Listen to the words and look at the pictures of this book. What do you do with an idea? Throughout the presentation, I gave you a bunch of different ideas that you can apply to your classroom or to the children that you work with. And my question now is, what are you going to do with that idea?
What do you do with an idea? Written by Kobe Yamada. One day I had an idea. Where did it come from? Why is it here? I wondered, what do you do with an idea? At first I didn't think much of it. It seemed kind of strange and fragile. I didn't know what to do with it, so I just walked away from it. I acted like it didn't belong to me. But it followed me. I worried what others would think. What would people say about my idea? I kept it to myself. I hid it away and didn't talk about it. I tried to act like everything was the same as it was before my idea showed up. But there was something magical about my idea. I had to admit, I felt better and happier when it was around. It wanted food, it wanted to play. Actually, it wanted a lot of attention. It grew bigger, and we became friends. I showed it to other people even though I was afraid of what they would say. I was afraid that if people saw it, they would laugh at it. I was afraid they would think it was silly. And many of them did. They said it was no good. They said it was too weird. They said it was a waste of time and that it would never become anything. And at first, I believed them. I actually thought about giving up on my idea. I almost listened to them. But then I realized, what do they really know? This is my idea, I thought. No one knows it like I do, and it's okay if it's different and weird and maybe a little crazy. I decided to protect it, to care for it. I fed it good food. I worked with it, I played with it, but most of all, I gave it my attention. My idea grew and grew, and so did my love for it. I built it a new house, one with an open roof where it could look up at the stars, a place where it could be safe to dream. I liked being with my idea. It made me feel more alive, like I could do anything. It encouraged me to think big, and then to think bigger. It shared its secrets with me. It showed me how to walk on my hands. because, it said, it is good to have the ability to see things differently. I couldn't imagine my life without it. Then one day, something amazing happened. My idea changed right before my very eyes. It spread its wings, took flight, and burst into the sky. I don't know how to describe it, but it went from being here to being everywhere. It wasn't just a part of me anymore, it was now a part of everything. And then I realized what you do with an idea. You change the world.
So, Rooted in Free Nature School is an idea that I had many years ago. My oldest son is just about 17, and it was when he was about to enter kindergarten. And I just started thinking, man, there's got to be a different way, and even really a better way. And I was just feeling some of these pressures that a parent can feel, and an educator. I was an educator and a parent, still am. Um, and so I had this idea and I let it just kind of keep spinning around there. And just like in the book, it eventually became something that I feel like is changing the world around me. So, one student at a time. So, what do you do with an idea? So, let's just think about baby steps you can take. Take your story time outside, bring nature inside, take one or more of the trainings that I shared with you earlier. I just encourage you to get outside with the children in your care and learn naturally. So please take some time to reflect on this presentation. Reach out to me if you have any questions, any comments. I would love for us to keep this dialogue going. Consider how you can leverage nature to better serve your students, because we are in this together, and there's just so many benefits. So I hope that you take some action. And I wanted to also take time to invite you. We have our Family Fun Day. So learn more about this at rootedandfree.org, or where we're at. And on Sunday, April 28th from 3 to 6 p.m., you do not need to RSVP. Just show up if you're available. We will have Zoo America doing some live animal presentations, and just opportunity to explore the grounds that we hold our school at. So feel free to join us if you're in the area. We're located right near Mount Gretna. So Lebanon County, kind of on the border of Lebanon, Lancaster, and Dauphin County. So again, thank you for joining me for this presentation. I hope that you have some new inspiration, ways that you want to try to take your class outside. I'd love to hear from you. So on this slide, you can see my email. Feel free to reach out at any point.